Welcome to the JDC West 2016 Human Resources Case Presentation. Thank you, judges. We have today Heather Ryan from Federated Cooperative Limited, Cheryl Carver, the Associate VP of Human Resources at the University of Saskatchewan, Therese Bure from Federated Cooperative Limited, Youthapala Senretha Tanakun from Mount Royal University, Marion Deutscher from K+S Potash Canada, and Kevin Burton from Potash Corp. Competitors, you will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following, the judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask questions. The volunteer timekeeper will show time cards to indicate the remaining time and will stop any speaker that exceeds the maximum time limit. No questions, comments, cell phones, or picture taking will be permitted by the audience at any time. The audience will only be permitted to applaud following the question and answer period. The audience is banned from any material that bears the name or symbol of the university they're competing for. We ask that the audience exit the room immediately following the Q&A period. Competitors, you may begin when you are ready.
Change and integration is difficult. Why is it difficult? Because along with change and integration comes challenges. But we believe that the right people can make change and integration a success. And your company has the right people. Good morning, Pareto executives. We are Star Consulting. My name is Jessica, and these are my colleagues, Robin and Kayla. And today, we are here to help.
So we've addressed three main issues that you're currently facing. The first one is Pareto employee satisfaction. So currently they've expressed some dissatisfaction in the way that the Halcyon employees have been integrated into the company. It's really important that these are addressed in order to continue to retain our employees. The next one is continued integration of the Halcyon employees. Currently we have some great initiatives that are taking place, but we want to make sure that those don't just stop right off the bat. We want to make sure that those are continued into the future. The following one is considerations of future plans. With this, we're not currently operating as a unified workforce. We want to make sure that we come together to create a team environment where everybody is working collaboratively. So, analyzing the Pareto employee satisfaction, there's the employee pushback. So this could create a lot of internal conflict. We don't want to have people working against each other. We want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Because if we don't, there's decreased productivity, which could lead to decreased revenues, employees leaving because of dissatisfaction. Another one is retention. So again, loss of top talent. We don't want those people that are really key to our workforce to leave because of this tension, because of this conflict. As well, the top management has expressed these concerns, and when that's coming from someone so high up in the company, it trickles down the corporate ladder. And this can be displayed within the other elements of the company, and we don't want to create a culture quite like that. Another is internal disruption. So if there's uncertainty in job safety, we have all these new employees that have just come into the company, and there must be some uncertainty as to if these people are going to retain their jobs, where are they going to be going within this company, is there going to be movement? The other one is the culture and the value impact. So is their culture going to be changing? There, again, uncertainty towards this, the values. Are their values going to be coming together? Is it going to maintain what they currently have?
next issue that we identified for you is continued integration of the Hallison employees. We really want to make sure that that lost trust in their own management does not come over to your company. Right now, they're experiencing a very difficult time. Their management basically acted in a way that they did not feel represented the values that they hold, and now they're moved on to a new company, and it's hard to say whether or not they're going to be able to trust you immediately. So we want to make sure that we can rebuild that trust from the ground up and be sure that you're able to lead your employees in the most effective manner possible. Furthermore, the risk of losing employees and revenue. Right now, these employees are very, very valuable to you. They're looking at bringing in approximately $105 million in revenue from the loyal clients that they have established. And we want to make sure that those employees stay with you and that money comes through your doors and is not walking out just because your employees are not being able to fully integrate into the company. So we have some plans that we want to give to you to make sure that we're able to fully integrate them. And lastly, long-term orientation. We want to make sure that everyone is on the same page, that this is not an overnight solution. This is not going to happen quickly. This is years, 3 to 5 years minimum you're looking at to make sure that you're able to fully create a cohesive environment for everyone involved. And we want to make sure that there's no difficulties that come up and no unrealistic expectations that lead to people getting discouraged quickly because things aren't happening as fast as they expected to. The next issue we've also identified is the consideration of future plans. We want to make sure that everything is going to be running smoothly for years to come and that you're able to be successful and prosper in the future as well. So first of all, that compensation difference that's happening right now between the employees that are coming over and your current employees, we want to make sure that we're able to mitigate the tensions that are happening there and make sure that everyone leaves satisfied and feels like a valued member of the team. Market project expansion. Project identification is a big issue here when you're combining two companies that work in very similar fields but approach their problems very differently. So we want to make sure that we're actually leveraging that and opening us up to further projects and opening your company up to expand your reach and expand your market share. And that also ties into team structure. The teams that you have from Hallison coming over and the teams that you're currently operating run very differently, and we want to make sure that we're not favoring one side over the other. Maybe it's time to re-examine how you're running things and make sure that you're doing it in the most efficient way possible. And lastly, company culture. Again, we really want to stress that this is very, very important, that shared values is what's really going to make the whole team come together and make sure that everyone has a solid base that they can build up from. And that also goes into leveraging diversity, talking about the different skills that both companies are going to be bringing to this acquisition and making sure that everyone is content with how things are going, and we're really, really leveraging the strengths from your current employees and your new employees that you've just found as part of your team to make sure that everything is the most efficient and effective as it can possibly be.
So from those three main issues we have identified, we have come up with a 3-step plan. Step number 1 is retain, step number 2, integrate, and step number 3, unify. So what we mean by that is retain is keep the employees you currently have because they are your most valuable at this point. Integrate the new employees from Halcyon into your company, and then finally unify so you become one team and a strong unit. So step number 1, retain. So these here are our recommendations. Number 1 is to provide resources to the Pareto employees. Your company has done a fantastic job of providing resources to the new employees from Halcyon coming over, and we want to utilize that plan you have in place for them and also give it to your existing employees so they don't feel like the other employees are being more favored and that they have all the resources available to them to go through this change so they feel secure in what is happening in the company. Also, the second recommendation is to lead by example. As we mentioned before, some issues have come up with the existing employees on how their work has been affected by the new employees coming in. So we really want top management to gather together, be unified front, so them including the new employees trickles down the corporate ladder, and so everyone is on the same page. Lastly, addressing concerns and encouraging open communication. So some concerns have been addressed by the existing employees currently. So we really want the top management to address them and be open with how they're going to solve them moving forward, and encourage their employees to tell them what they're not liking, and so they know exactly what to mitigate. So with step number 1, those are our recommendations, and here's how we're going to make it happen. First is with resources. We would like to create a survey that we implemented on your company's intranet. So currently a survey has been offered to the new employees from Halifax coming in, but we also want to create one for the existing employees of Pareto. We want to know exactly what they're thinking, and this would be a more formalized way to gather that data. We foresee that it would be given out once a month for the first 6 months, so you really know what is going on a month by month basis. And after that, we would recommend giving out a survey quarterly until you reach the 3-year point. And then, of course, with every survey, there would be assessment. Do you need to change some of the questions? What really is going to give you the most value out of your survey? And also, we'd like to provide an in-house integration mentor. So this has been provided to new employees coming in, and we also want to make sure that existing employees have that too. Someone in the human resources field in there that can really help them integrate with this new change. The second is lead by example. We suggest that the senior management hold formal meetings. So they are meeting on a regular basis so they can talk about what is going on in the company, what they have seen from the data from the surveys, and how they can move forward as one unit so that one unit mentality affects every single employee and every employee knows what's going on. Also, we suggest coaching meetings with their employers. So each manager obviously has a team underneath them. So once they come from that senior management meeting, they should take that to their own employees and hold coaching meetings, like to first explain what is going on and then be like, this is how you can lead by example as well. And the last one is addressing concerns. So first would be to hold an information seminar, something formal like this that includes both the Pareto employees and the new Halcyon employees hasn't happened yet. So bringing them together and holding an information session on what it's going to look like going forward so everyone knows what is going on. Also to regulate the feedback methods. As we mentioned, some Pareto employees have given some constructive criticism, but it has been on a social media platform that all the employees can view. So we really want to regulate this so it can be taken in a better way. Also, we'd like to implement a technology platform viewable by senior management only. So that, for example, would include the feedback. They'd have an internal portal where all the feedback could go, but it'd just be viewed by management. So people could submit things anonymously, and so everyone's views can be heard.
So the next step of our plan is to integrate. As was previously mentioned, these employees have come from environment that has been full of dishonesty and mistrust with their management. So we really want to make sure that they do feel that sense of trust and openness with the management that they're currently with. So that's going to be our first step. The second is to foster a positive culture. Again, we want to make sure that they feel like they're part of this company. We don't want to see this division that's going on. We want to make sure that they have that work-life balance, that they are involved with the different initiatives that this company is currently taking. As well, we want to establish a long-term process. We want to make it very clear to them that it is not just a short-term solution, that their well-being is not just being seen within this month, but over the next few years. So, how we're going to reinstill the trust. We're going to hold information sessions conducted by the management. This is going to happen right away. Get this going. And then we think right now it's going to be talking about compliance, which is such a very prevalent issue to them. In the future, within the 6 months, we're going to reassess it, see through these surveys, what exactly they think is the main issue that is happening within the company. What do they need clarity on? What kind of things do we need to improve? And I hold another information session where everybody's really able to communicate openly and honestly. Fostering a positive culture, we see that we're going to collaborate with all the employees to come up with new values and goals. Make sure that that is very transparent and that their input is taken clearly and instilled in these values. We also want to make sure that those individual goals of the new employees are taken into consideration, and then we'll see how that intertwines with the company. And we want to make sure that they see that so that they find investment in this company, that they find that this really is taking into consideration their future goals, what is going on with their future careers. And we think that this would be very well happen in an online newsletter. We think that if you portray these people's skills, these people's goals, and what they're doing to really make that happen in a newsletter, it will not only make them feel more part of the culture, but have the employees feel more connected, being able to see what their fellow employees are doing, and really be able to connect and relate to them as people. For the long-term process, we think that what you're doing to integrate is really great. We just want to make sure that it's clearly laid to them that this will be a 3 to 5 year process. We also think that right now they're also undergoing some uncertainty as to, again, if they are going to be considered in the future. So we make that transparent, and that will really mitigate any kind of uncertainty or expectations that they're unsure of.
And the last step in our 3-point program is to unify your entire company culture. We want to make sure that everyone is on the same page and you're stronger than ever before and you're able to have a brighter future than you had ever had the prospect of having when you were just your own employee base. And so our recommendations here are to reassess that compensation structure and try to level that playing field in a way that is able to make sure everyone is happy with what they're receiving and they feel that they are crucial to how the company is functioning and that they're very, very valued. So they feel that they need to be at this company. You need them there, and they know that, and they're willing to stick around and put the effort in because everything we're presenting to you today is something that is a combined effort. You need to have that support of your employees, and we want to make sure that you're doing something to make sure that they really feel part of the team and are willing to work towards the common goals. Our next recommendation is to restructure the teams and explore new markets. So this goes back to the different levels and skills that you're going to be acquiring from Howison going forward. They have different creative abilities, different ways of working as teams. We want to really make sure that we can look at what is working best and what will work best in the future and really be open to exploring those different options because we think that you could really benefit from really taking in some of their insights and being sure that you're able to fully assess that. And lastly, creating a cohesive company culture, which of course is our greatest recommendation, and we really want to make sure that that is implemented. So what we're going to do here to make sure all these recommendations go through is our compensation structure. We suggest that you reassess how you go forward with that raise eligibility. We suggest that those who are in senior positions should be eligible for raises faster so they're able to move up to the same rate that Howison's employees are making when it's deserved, as well as prioritizing Pareto employee advancement over those of Howison, as we want to make sure that your base employees feel that they are connected. Restructure team and new markets, again, giving Howison the opportunity to take the lead on projects, so you're able to assess different types of leading a team and make sure that you're able to actually look at how does it work if they take over and they're able to approach it more creatively. Is that going to benefit us in the future? Also, company culture. We want to exemplify those shared values from both roots of Pareto and Howison and make sure that you're able to fully integrate what everyone holds true as their own values into a cohesive unit. And leverage that difference, again, as a strength. It's not a weakness if you're able to combine all the differences and create something more powerful.
So of course, along with change and integration, there are risks. We have identified 3 main risks, and then we have ranked them on their impact, their likelihood, and then we have a proposed mitigation strategy. So the first risk we identified is that Pareto employees become unsatisfied and then leave their work. The impact of this would be very high as they are your existing employees and most experienced and know your company inside and out. But we believe the likelihood is moderate. If this were to happen, the mitigation strategy would be to promote internally and hire strategically. So with this, if someone were to leave, of course we'd want someone internal to take over that position, so an internal promotion, because the turnaround time of them being trained and knowing exactly what is going on would be greatly less than if you were to bring in someone brand new. And then also to take over that newly promoted spot, if you had to hire externally, we would suggest doing that strategically, so taking someone that has a lot of experience in the industry. So again, training and knowing exactly what is going on, that amount of time would be lessened. The second risk we came up with is that Howison employees do not align with the new culture and then proceed to leave your company. The impact of this, again, would be high as you're losing employees that are doing work for you. And again, we predict the likelihood being moderate. If this were to happen, we would suggest going back to the integration plan that is currently in place. While it is doing great things, perhaps if this did happen, we'd have to really look at increasing the retention strategies within that integration. So yes, bringing them on, making them feel comfortable, getting them all set up, but then really focusing on, okay, now how do we keep them here? And the last risk is that the Pareto and Halcyon employees do not form a bond and become one unit, one company. The impact would be high, and we think the likelihood would be low. However, if it did happen, a potential mitigation strategy would be to create two sectors of the company of Pareto, one that more aligns with how Halcyon is used to work, more creative, more autonomy, and then one currently how your company is run. We have projected revenue and a budget prepared. So taking the numbers, we took into account the 2014 revenue for Pareto, and then we took away 5% of that, as that was predicted as a loss with bringing in the new employees. And then we also added in the Halcyon Associate revenue, so what they bring in, and it gives you a grand total there at the bottom. And then our budget, it is a sparse budget because everything we are implementing, currently you have the resources in-house already. So what we would have to spend money on is the IT development for the surveys and the online feedback forums. And then also allocation of time resources, so the people you currently have would be doing more.
So we've now presented to you our 3-step plan and shown you what we consider our risks and how we plan to mitigate all of those risks. Here is our overarching strategy. We want to create the best workforce that you can have and have the best market opportunities that you can experience. Our goals are to retain your employees, integrate your new ones, and create that unified team. Our priorities, of course, that company culture that we talked about, and diffusing uncertainties and tensions, and our initiatives are all those things we mentioned: surveys, platforms, everything we can do. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. We did consider that, and our plan at this point is to really take into account how the Halcyon employees have been responding to their customer care. Currently, they do feel that their customers are not being cared for to the level they should be. So our plan is to take that restructuring program and restructure the teams and be able to approach our clients with the Halcyon approach, using more creativity, using smaller teams, a little bit more autonomy, and then be able to follow up with clients through a satisfaction survey. And we can hire a third-party company to do that if that was something that you were interested in pursuing. And from there on, you're able to look at how has that customer's experience changed over the time ever since this company has merged and their employees have moved over to Pareto.
I have a question on the sort of in-house integration mentor that you talked about. You kind of talked, we'd have one. What do you see their key deliverables or what they have to do in relation to, you had also talked about coaching meetings with employees and something in terms of sort of survey and stuff like that and concerns. You're surveying somebody, and you've got essentially almost 3,000 employees, and you're going to survey them once a month for 6 months, and then you've got this other mentor. So just like, tell me a little bit about how you see those activities integrated.
So I think with the integration mentor, that's kind of a bit of a separate thing than the coaching meetings. The coaching meetings were coming from the management, so that's a very personal thing with the people that they're working with. The integration mentor is actually a separate part. That's from the HR perspective. That's like what the Halcyon employees had as well. Just so they also feel that sense of someone else. It's a bit of a third party that they can go to and be able to talk to and consider the different the ways that things are being integrated, whereas the coaching meetings are very much so the people that they are working with, managements that they are in contact with. And sorry, what was the third part of your question?
No, it's kind of, it was more in the sense.
Okay, perfect.
I have a question on your projected revenue and the budget, actually. mentioned something like the whole process would take 3 to 5 years maybe. Is that just for the first year? What's kind of the plan then?
Right. So the allocated or the projected budget was based on, for a 1-year time period, and same with the budget put in place. So like the $50,000 we estimate, if that was an approximate salary of an HR staff, that over the staff there, they'd have to put in the amount of time equaling 1 HR salary per year. So that would be integrated for the extra time collectively they would have to put in. And that would, yes, that's for a 1-year span.
So technically that would be real, like a lot more costly than there because there are additional costs that you possibly may have not allocated. For example, hiring from staff, which is not who has to go through some of these mentoring programs, training programs, and also maybe a result loss of productivity. Is that part of the consideration at all?
Yes, that was part of our consideration. We believe with the in-house team currently that it wouldn't be an excessive amount of time loss or resources allocated to these new projects because it's already in place with the Hallison employees. But it's definitely something we'd have to look at further and meet with your finance team to really figure out exactly how much it would cost.
So your specific compensation recommendation, salaries go up or down? There's quite a bit of inequity over there.
Our idea there is that your employee salaries would go up. They would not go up immediately, however, because we do not see it benefiting you to start pouring out more money than you need to at this time. So we feel that it's just in a revamped eligibility for raise program. So you'd be able to look at those employees that are making less than their counterparts and be able to really make sure that they're receiving the recognition and the raises that they basically deserve, but making sure you're doing it in a bit of an expedited process.
So what's the timeline for that?
Sorry, that concludes the question period. Thank you.
Thank you.